Max,
Jasmine,
are you ready for this?
I am ready.
I ask you if you're ready because it was not too long ago that you just left us. Not, it was not your fault. It is not our fault. You just had to go back to school. We already miss you. But let's talk about your time with us at the firm. Can you tell everyone what you were doing here, what your position was?
Absolutely. Yeah, I was a summer student at the firm.
Outside of the firm, can you tell us what you do right now?
As you said, I'm going back to school. So right now I'm still finishing my undergrad degree at the University of Guelph. Um, I was originally in the US for about a year and a half. I was playing soccer over there. Um, Injury happened, life happened, and made a move back to Canada. Went to Guelph a bit last minute. And now I've got one more year at Guelph where I'm studying psychology and philosophy, and then we'll see where life takes me after that.
You have a similar story to mine, similar but different, in that I was also in the US for undergrad. Now, I finished undergrad and I did not have an injury and I was not playing soccer, but I had to come back home because of events that were beyond my control, which is similar
Mhm.
to you. And that particular event was September 11th happening. And I remember in
Yeah,
the moment, and you may be able to relate to this, but I remember when that incident occurred, of course, it impacted the world at large. Me, on that, thinking about my life and my future, I was devastated. And not to disregard what people went through that was much bigger than me, but when you're thinking about yourself and your future and you have a plan and then it's derailed through no fault of your own, I know the anxiety that that can bring with it. But hopefully, you're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel and how sometimes things happen for a reason, and sometimes it's a blessing
totally.
in disguise. So for me, I came back home and went to law school, which is something I was already toying with. And this just accelerated the process because I wasn't able to secure my work visa to stay at the time because of world events. What about you? Where do you find yourself now that your plans have had to change? Again, at no fault of your own. It's just what cards you were dealt.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess with the chaos that happened in the US for me, it was really just a matter of figuring out mainly where I was going to go to school. There was a number of options. I got accepted to U of T. I didn't really want to stay at home. McGill accepted me super, super late. And, oddly enough, one of my friends, he was thinking of Guelph and it was like the last day of admissions enrollment, like for you to submit your request. And he just said, why don't you just do it? It's $50. And I sent it in. They accepted me right away. And it just seemed like it was the right fit and things fell into place. Like you said, sometimes, you know, things work out in the end and you gotta play with the cards that you're dealt.
Can you tell us what you did at the firm? It wasn't too long ago. So, what types of
Hmm.
tasks were you doing over here? I probably don't even know everything you were doing, quite frankly, because I've had a crazy schedule. Well, my schedule is always crazy, but I feel like it's been crazier. I'm not sure. But what were you doing?
Yeah, like you said, there was a lot of tasks that I was doing. I actually have a list here just to make sure that I'm covering everything.
Okay, go for it.
Um, yeah, I guess the most exciting stuff was, I guess the most interesting for like from a legal standpoint was the legal drafting that I was doing. So I was drafting a bunch of requests, affidavits of service, notices of discontinuance, order to continue, requisition, motion record, stuff like that. Um, Apart from that, I was also doing a lot of client outreach for outstanding documents, expenses, stuff like that for their cases, and then communicating with defending counsel. I remember you assigned me to actually go serve defending counsel for one of the cases. You sent me on a little field trip, which was really fun.
Uh, so this was actually, I don't know if I explained it properly to you. Maybe I omitted some details so you weren't so nervous about it, but or maybe I did tell you, I can't remember, but we actually sued another lawyer, which is not something I like to do, but I do have a case where I have a client who was working as an intern at a law firm and sustained injury as a result of some issues at the premises of the law firm. And so we had to sue the lawyer and the law firm. And I did provide him a little courtesy heads up and told him that, look, I'm sorry, if it's not me, it's going to be someone else. And it's a legitimate claim and you've got property insurance. I did all that. And then usually we use process servers when we serve the defendant. So we serve whoever we've sued in a case. But again, as a courtesy to another lawyer, I didn't want to do that. We prearranged a time. We chatted with his firm, and you did that, I believe, right?
Mhm.
Making sure that you're going to get the paper because we don't want to humiliate people. I mean, generally, I don't want to do that anyway, but with someone you know and being in the profession, you want to set it up properly. So we prearranged everything. And so he wasn't defense counsel in this case. He was actually the person we sued.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes. But I think you did well. You got to get out there, and that's one of the things I think it is missing a lot with our students and with our junior associates. They just don't get the same experience because the world has changed and that everything is
Mhm.
done electronically. And at times, things are still more efficient if it's done in person. However, people have gotten a bit lazy. It's so much easier to hit send. Yeah, it's easier to hit send, but sometimes it's not easier to get a response, or sometimes it's not easier
Mhm.
to understand what is going on in a case. It's sometimes easier to just pick up the phone and discuss it with opposing counsel and take the 5 minutes out of your day instead of back and forth, back following up further to my email. Where's the response? So I'm really happy that you had the opportunity to step outside and have a field trip.
Yeah, that was a good time. And it was a great experience.
You were actually outside the firm not not too long ago. We didn't send you on a field trip, but we had a new fun thing we were doing.
Yes,
Can you tell us about that?
definitely. Yeah. It's called JD Hits the Streets. We were interviewing people going about their day right outside of our building, and we were asking them personal injury law related questions, and we were kind of quizzing them on how they were doing. And you assigned for me, so we had the camera set up, and I was actually the one that was interviewing people, which was an interesting experience. Yeah, I did that a few times as well.
One of the things that is really important to me, and one of the reasons I do this podcast and blogs and all these things, is I really think it's important that we don't forget that the average person does not speak in legal terminology. And the average person may have some interest in understanding day to day legal information, how that in a way that it may impact their life. And so I think it's really important that we do things like community engagement, like what you did. Yeah, sure, it's a form of marketing, but it's also fun to chat with people in the neighborhood, and it's also fun to give them some legal knowledge and in a way that is not intimidating, in a way that's not condescending. And that's what I aim to do when I meet clients, when I talk to them on the phone, even when I talk to defense counsel. Like if it can be said in a sentence, I don't use a paragraph or a whole page. I'm
Yeah.
going to type it. They don't want to read it. I think that oftentimes lawyers we're trying to protect ourselves and our clients, and sometimes things get very wordy. I think sometimes we also just like to hear ourselves talk.
Hmm.
So there's a little bit of that, but I think it's really important to keep it simple, stupid, the KISS rule. So in terms of when you hit the streets, did you find any surprises? Were there any answers or any people that surprised you?
Um,
Or
there was one guy that we interviewed. He was actually the first guy that we got, and he actually knew a lot of stuff. He wasn't a lawyer, but I think he might have went to law school. But he was talking about a bunch of other firms in the area, and he was actually kind of educating me on some stuff, which was super interesting. Any other surprises? I can't really say that
Well,
there
here's
were
a
other
surprise.
surprises.
You learned that you
Yeah,
weren't allowed to film in our building.
that's true. That was a surprise. Yeah, we
Um,
tried one of the days and yeah, quickly got turned away
yes.
from doing
Well,
that.
I look forward to reviewing the content. I haven't seen it yet because it's being converted into short reels that will
Hmm.
be on Instagram and other places. So I look forward to that. After doing all the tasks that you were assigned and doing some fun stuff like JD hits the streets, and you also went to you also helped with putting things together for the women's shelter where we donate
Hmm.
some goods to help those in need. Tell me one thing you enjoyed the most about the firm and one thing you really disliked about doing at the firm, whether it was at this firm or just generally speaking.
Okay. I can't say that I really disliked anything.
Good
Um,
answer, Matt. Good
everything,
answer.
every, I can tell you the thing that I enjoyed the most was just the environment and the culture that your firm has. It was just super friendly. Um, you can talk with anyone, you can open up to anyone, but at the same time, it was also professional, where we're getting work done, but it wasn't like it was super high stakes, lots of pressure, competition with everyone else. It was very collaborative and friendly, and it was great. Just looking forward to just hang out with the people at work every day.
I love that. And that's the environment I try to create where it is collegial and we are
Hmm.
working collaboratively as a team to benefit our clients. I should correct one thing. I don't know if correct, but
Okay.
maybe help everyone understand. You're right. There's no pressure in terms of competition with each other, but there is one person who puts a lot of pressure on everybody. And who is that?
That would be you sometimes.
Oh, sometimes, yes. I know I come down hard on people, but it's like I just want as close to perfect, if not perfect, as possible. And as you know, I want everything done yesterday. People ask me at the office, I don't know if you did, but people ask me like, when's it due? I'm like, yesterday, obviously. Like
Hmm.
everything needs to be done immediately. There's nothing that needs to be done in 2 weeks from now or a month from now. The difference is it's either do it immediately or this is so urgent, drop everything and do that. Those are your
Hmm.
options. So drop everything, it's urgent, or get it done now. Those are the two. There's no,
Totally.
we'll do it at some point. As you
Yeah,
know,
it's important to have someone like that as well, because you want the best from all of us, and you're helping us get there with your experience. So
thank you.
even though there was a bit of pressure, you need someone pushing you who has that experience.
Yeah. There's also my bad habit of the emails, I know. But this is not about me. This is about you. So let's get back to you. Do you feel that you learned any transferable skills? And if so, what were they?
Um, totally. Yeah, there was a lot of client outreach that I did, so just being able to communicate with clients in a professional, supportive manner, because a lot of the clients that we have, they are dealing with really tragic circumstances, and it's a bit of a shift to be able to communicate, like especially through email rather than over the phone, if they're telling us more details about those circumstances and we're asking for more details for the case. So just being able to show the empathy and support, but also the professionalism at the same time. Legal drafting is another thing for sure, where there's consistency that you really need to have. There can't be double spaces. There's little things that always need to get adjusted, and you need to be very anal about all of those little details, making sure that everything comes out on the final draft in a professional manner without any of the errors.
See, it's a
Um,
combination of my
yeah.
OCD that, it requires like I need all the same font and all the same spacing. However, as Justice Dow once told me, and I saw him recently, and he told me this in a pretrial like years ago, it just stuck with me. And it's true. You don't get a second chance to make a first impression.
Hmm.
And he was pointing out errors in my pre-trial memo that I didn't even draft, but had to just like act like I did. Like it was someone else, a student
Oh.
associate, and I just had to take it from him. I mean, I should have, I guess, noticed, but these were such minor little details. But to this day, I'm like, okay, if this judge has read so much stuff and he saw these details, they matter, right? And I look terrible. And so I want to make sure that everything we do does not have those types of errors ever, ever, ever
Hmm.
again. Um,
Totally.
so do you think after your experience at the firm, and I believe this is the first law firm you've worked in, right?
Yes, it is.
Do you think that you would consider a career in law?
I'm still kind of on the fence right now between pursuing law school or pursuing graduate school for psychology, but it's kind of 50-50 right now. I'm still not really sure which career I'd like to pursue.
That is a completely fair answer, completely understandable. You've seen how much work goes into it and how frustrating at times it can be. Um, a better question is, would you come back to work at this firm?
I would totally come back.
Excellent. Well, if not as a lawyer, perhaps as a student, again, we'd love to have you. Thank you so much for joining me today, Max.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Mm.